Good afternoon, everyone. This is December 27th. Welcome to the WikiLeak-a-Day Show. Just as a note to start off the show, there have been no new WikiLeaks released the 24th, 25th, or 26th, and of course, nothing so far today. However, I do have a really interesting one to start the day off with, and after that, one that hasn't even been released by WikiLeaks yet. So our first one today is 10ASUNCION, that's ASUNCION, and the final number is 97. This is from February of this year. Subject, GOP, that's Government of Paraguay, seeks to implement new cell phone intercept system, but promises to keep SIU program intact. So basically what's going on here is that the DEA has cell phone taps going on in Paraguay, and now the government of Peru wants to expand it and get direct access. Summary, Interior Minister Filisola told the U.S. ambassador, February 10th, that the government of Paraguay would soon be rolling out a new expanded cell phone intercept program, which would continue to cover counter-narcotics, but would also include anti-kidnapping cases such as the government of Peru, ratchets up efforts to capture the EPP. EPP is the People's Army Ejército Popular de Paraguay, People's Army of Peru, which is a Marxist-Leninist guerrilla army or organization. And in this case, there prominently figures the kidnapping, probably for ransom, as also happens in Colombia, of a rancher or a farmer. Filisola assured the ambassador that the DEA SIU's cell intercept program, which is for counter-narcotics, would remain alive, but encouraged the embassy to allow the use of the DEA-funded cell intercept software to Paraguay, or it would be rendered obsolete. In other words, gimme, 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 gimme more, or we'll just cut you out completely. Well, DEA can't stand to not be involved everywhere, I guess. Despite some initial technical doubts, it appears that Filizola's plan is technically feasible. However, we want to ensure that the DEA-supported program is not compromised in the process, given the pressure on Paraguay to arrest the EPP members responsible for the Zavala kidnapping. There is no doubt the Lugo government the government of Paraguay will press to increase its intercept capability. Our participation and concurrence is key to our counter-narcotics and broader law enforcement goals in Paraguay. Since September 09, DEA has had an active cell phone intercept program limited solely to counter-narcotics, DEA's drug enforcement agency. Now, the government of Paraguay wants access for its counter-insurgency program. In the comment, here's an interesting comment. Between Personal, which is probably a cell phone provider, and the next cell phone provider scheduled to come online, Tigo, which I believe is a Colombian company, they would cover 90% of the cell phone market. DEA indicated it took them over a year to install the personal system because full cooperation from the company is required. Sounds like they might be dragging their feet. Minister emphasized this would not be an issue because they already had the decree from the telephone industry regulator that forces the telephone companies to cooperate. Yeah. Better do it or we're going to kick your butt. Better sell out your customers. And in the comment below, given political pressure on government of Paraguay to arrest the EPP members, there is no doubt the Lugo government of Paraguay will continue intense efforts to improve its intercept capability, and further goes on to say that if they don't go along with Paraguay, they'll get cut out altogether, so we better do it, which is, it's kind of disgusting, and it's an example of how, this war on drugs, this idiotic, destructive, counterproductive war on drugs can lead to political repression. The Economic Times has an article about this today. U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, agency tasked with the job of tracking drug traffickers around the world, has over the years transformed into a global intelligence organization with its tentacles extending far beyond narcotics, according to secret diplomatic cables. In far greater detail than previously seen, the cables offer glimpses of drug agents balancing diplomacy and law enforcement in places where it can be hard to tell the politicians from the traffickers, and where drug rings themselves are mini-states. Panama, Sierra Leone, Mexico, Myanmar. The DEA has 87 offices in 63 countries and close partnerships with governments that keep the CIA at arm's length. Is the DEA the new CIA? Is counter-narcotics, Prohibition 2.0 the cover for political repression around the globe? It's disturbing, and it wouldn't surprise me because, frankly, the war on drugs is a joke. It's a complete failure. It will never succeed, just as the war on so-called piracy will never succeed, because if people want something, somebody's going to provide it, and they're going to buy it. Here's a cable that apparently hasn't even been released by WikiLeaks itself yet. The code is 09STOCKHOLM141. And this is from the Pirate Party of Sweden. Taking a closer look at the Stockholm 09-141 cable, we find that the U.S. was the driving force behind the IP Red legislation, which is probably something related to stopping people from copying so-called intellectual property. That was the driving force behind threats to Swedish ISPs in 2008, and that it is currently the driving force behind so-called Step 2 of the data retention, which was presented by the Justice Minister last Thursday of Sweden. This legislation will give police at-will access to all and any collected records under the data retention in the proposed police methods report. Ordinarily, prison sentences of more than 2 years would have been required to collect IP addresses, but the PMU changes this before the data retention is even in place. The objective in the cable is laid out in clear text: to combat file sharing, ordinary people sharing culture with others, because that's what it is. The United States government is driving the creation of a big brother state in Sweden and, frankly, all over the world, as we've seen in previous episodes of the WikiLeak-a-Day Show, especially in Spain and Brazil, including draconian data retention measures in order to have it combat simple and everyday petty copyright infringements on behalf of American interests. This state going to bat for corporations. Again, I say to the corporations, if you don't want people copying your stuff, make a contract with your customers, if they'll still be your customers under those conditions, demanding, getting an agreement that they do not copy your stuff or do not let other people copy your stuff. And then see if you can enforce it, but don't try to get the very people who are creating culture with your content to fund these efforts to stifle killer, whoever he may be, moves, but that Chapo, his nickname, commands the support of a large network of informers and has security circles of up to 300 men that make launching capture operations difficult. This is, have anybody seen Untouchables, the movie about Elliot Ness trying to shut down Al Capone and defend Prohibition 1.0? It's a lot of people dying and a lot of money being spent and a lot of people being hurt and lives ruined over nothing. As we saw, Prohibition 1.0 was a failure. So why is Prohibition 2.0 going to be any different? End the war on drugs now. Here we have an interesting page called PeopleOkWithMurderingAssange.com. And here is the first one. John Hawkins, a far-right blogger. Julian Assange, quote-unquote, is not an American citizen and has no constitutional rights, so there's no reason that the CIA can't kill him. Moreover, ask yourself a simple question. If Julian Assange is shot in the head tomorrow, if his car is blown up when he turns the key, what message do you think that would send about releasing sensitive data? What a douche. You think that just because people don't live in the borders of this state called the United States of America, that they don't have some kind of, inherent human right to keep their life, to be safe from your aggression? And if you weren't such a coward, why, you would be out there trying to do this yourself. What a coward. Let's look at the next one. Bob Beckel, Fox News commentator. A dead man can't leak stuff. This guy's a traitor, he's treasonous, and he's broken every law of the United States. I'm not for the death penalty, so there's only one way to do it. Illegally shoot the son of a bitch. Wow. These guys need to be ostracized, shunned, ridiculed, and whatever, short, of course, of real violence. They need to get a lesson here, really. That would be the best thing to happen, to get a lesson in human rights. Because this is just ridiculous. Let's take a look at one more. John Hawkins. Rush Limbaugh is on the list. Yeah, here we go. Rush Limbaugh laughing. Folks, even Greg Palcott of Fox News interviewed Assange, which means that Roger Ailes knows where he is. Ailes knows where Assange is. Give Ailes the order, and there is no Assange. I'll guarantee you, and there will be no fingerprints on it. And that's not the only quote from him on that. Just another blowhard. If he had any balls, he would go out, he would live his life with the courage of his convictions. He would put his money where his mouth is, and he would give it a try. But these kind of people should be shunned. If you have the patience for it, see if you can drop some knowledge on them. That's about it. India takes a stand against WikiLeaks, published today at DNAindia.com. Foreign Secretary Rao has defended the confidentiality principle of diplomatic communications while launching a new website of the Publicity and Public Diplomacy Wing for the ministry. Little PR spin there, trying to protect themselves. Who knows what's going to come out incriminating India. And the commenter here, it will be much better if diplomatic assessments are made public, because then the harm that comes out of decisions based on these assessments could be avoided. Amen. Open source diplomacy. Let's see more of it. And here's a letter from a gentleman in, not even sure, Chico. Not sure where that is. Pentagon Papers whistleblower, the great Daniel Ellsberg, notes that the leaks are more embarrassing than threatening and argues that those involved have performed a public service so that the American people can begin to get a grip on our incoherent policy and enforce a more humane and productive thrust to it. This response recalls the values celebrated by President John F. Kennedy when he declared, quote unquote, "The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society," unquote. I agree. Those in power today would do well to take a lesson from this quote. Rather than criminal charges, I suggest we owe WikiLeaks and Bradley Manning our thanks and our support for the opportunity for a more moral response to the acts that have been revealed. A democracy is in danger when the voters don't know the truth about their government. Very true. Of course, government, democracy, these are kind of fail by design. But the writer has a very great point. This is the end of our show for today. Hopefully we'll have more leaks for tomorrow. Again, you can find the recorded show at armyourmind.com in about an hour, as well as leaks to these articles that we've discussed. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Happy New Year, and see you tomorrow at 12:05 p.m. Eastern Time.